Look, new construction's not always what it's cracked up to be. I know, you don't want somebody else's problems. You want a brand new house, you want no issues, you want no headaches. Unfortunately, I'm going to be the bearer of bad news. New construction homes has issues, has gonna give you headaches, and the things that cause those are oftentimes different from what you would find in a resale house, and most people have no idea what they're looking for when it comes to this. So in this video, I'm gonna do what I always try to do. I'm trying to educate just an average, everyday home buyer that really doesn't know anything about houses, exactly what new construction issues exist. We're talking about things like a high cost of construction, delay timelines, sometimes there's depreciation that you didn't count in, things like that. So if that sounds like a topic that's interesting to you, grab a piece of paper, grab a pen, grab something to drink, let's dive in. Now, first thing we're going to talk to is that with new construction home, you're typically going to pay a higher price over similar houses in the same area. Yes, you are getting a brand new house, but even if you look at a house that's maybe only 1 year old or 2 years old, while it may still have a lot of the same issues of all the new construction homes in that area, that older home, the one that has previously been lived in, is going to be a little bit cheaper than that new home. Why? Because most people, when they have the option of, hey, here's a house that's 2 years old that somebody's lived in, and here's an identical house that's brand new that nobody's lived in, most of the people are going to buy that newer house. It's just human nature. We want that new thing. We want that shiny thing. They don't realize that sometimes it may come at a 10, even a 15% premium over that existing home. Whenever there's new construction going on, they're always going to be at the top of the market in that neighborhood or in that area, and the resale homes are always going to be priced less. So that's the first issue in this way, is you could end up paying more for that new construction home. In addition to being at a higher price point from the get-go, let's say that you want to go to a builder and you want a to-be built. That means you're going to go to the builder, you're going to pick the floor plan, you're going to pick the lot, you're going to pick everything you want out inside. They're going to build that house for you. That's called a to-be built home. When you do that, you're going to walk into a model home and it's going to be absolutely decked out, top to bottom. Every corner is going to be decked out to the T's. Sometimes they'll tell you, but a lot of times they won't. All of those extra features are going to cost you more. A lot of people know that at this point, but what you probably don't know is there's sometimes in a model home, when those features aren't even available to you at the model center, you can't even pick them out. So that's a little bit frustrating. Now, in addition to just being priced at a premium over resale properties in that area, the other thing that you've got to consider here is if you're going to do a to-be built house, which means you are going to go to the builder, you're going to pick out your house plan, you're going to pick out the lot you want to build it on, and then you're going to go to the design center and you're going to outfit it exactly like you want. If you're going to do a to-be built home and you go to the design center, everything that you change in the design center is going to come at a premium cost. So you're going to be adding on to that base price, and so it's still going to get more and more expensive. Now, if you want a house decked out to the nines, that's great, go for it, but be aware you could improve that house over the rest of the neighborhood, and if you've got to sell that thing 3 or 4 years down the line, you may be upside down on it. So again, new construction can come with a premium price tag. In addition to those upgrades inside of the house, everybody dreams of a lot with a view, not backing to a neighbor, a greenbelt view, something like that, big trees in that lot, or even just a big lot. What a lot of people don't realize is those lots are going to carry a premium also. I've seen $100,000 lot premiums on new built homes, yes. Take that base price of $500,000 and add $100,000 onto the top because that lot is bigger, it's nicer, it's going to require more driveway to be poured, or maybe it's going to require more slab because it's sloped off and it's got this amazing view. So whether you're looking at the cost of a lot, the cost of your upgrades, or even just the base cost of the house being more expensive than everything in the area, new construction often comes with a higher price tag than resale. Now, the second thing about new homes, and it's kind of connected to the first thing, there's sometimes a lack of transparency in costs. You're going to go in and you'll see the big billboard, homes from the 200,000s or whatever it is in your neighborhood. And you walk in and sure, their base floor plan is $200,000 or $250,000. That's the first thing that I love. From the 200,000, yeah, our base floor plans are $290,000. Well, it's kind of $300,000. But anyway, that's kind of an aside. But when you go in and you're looking at these floor plans in a certain price point, you may think you're getting a good deal. But what you've really got to look closely at, and you got to talk to the builder rep about this, you've got to look closely at what are the standard features and what are upgraded features. Again, we've mentioned the model home and how it's upgraded, But you also have to compare between new home builders in an area, because one new home builder may have complete envelope spray foam insulation, and all the other builders may have fiberglass or blown in bat insulation. One of them may have upgraded Cat 6e cables and wiring throughout the house, and other ones don't. There are actually builders right now that do not put garage door openers in your garage. So you have to make sure you understand what are the features that I'm getting for the base price. And if I'm not getting the features that I want, again, what are they going to cost me up and above that? So the first two, again, are both dealing with the cost being a little bit higher. The second one is transparency, and cost sometimes is pretty difficult to find with home builders. The third thing you've really got to watch out with new construction homes, especially right now, is quality of construction. It kind of started during COVID. And what I saw from a real estate perspective was there were a lot of people on job sites building houses that have never built houses in their life. Why did it happen? Well, we had this massive real estate boom, and builders were trying to build houses as fast as they possibly could, and they didn't have enough labor. So they had to go out and grab labor wherever they could. It was getting on the job training, and the quality was really, really poor. I mean, I just got finished talking to a client that today, and we bought a house for them in 2021. And just getting from basically the last walk to closing took about an extra month, because there were so many quality control issues that I found for them there at the end of the build that it delayed their closing by a month. So just getting the house built right was a major issue. And that's something that's persisted since. It's gotten a little better because the unskilled labor that was brought in to finish those houses has now become better, and they know better what they're doing. It's still not great. And also houses are being built a little bit slower now because we're not in this massive boom. But if you're looking to buy a house in an area where there's still a boom going on, there's several of them throughout the U.S. right now. But if you're still looking to buy a house where houses are selling very quickly, you're going to have to consider, okay, what am I going to do to take care of my construction quality? Personally, as a realtor, what I tell my clients is I have an inspector, and this inspector does a 3-phase inspection. The first phase of that inspection is done before the slab is ever poured. They're going to go in, they're going to make sure all the support cables are in the right spot, all the plumbing's in the right spot, the electrical stubs are in the right spot. All of that's taken care of before concrete's ever poured. The next stage of that construction is going to be when the house is built and it's dried in, but there's no drywall or insulation in the walls. So that's called a pre-drywall inspection. And then that inspector is going to go in and again, look to make sure the plumbing is in the right spots, the electrical's in the right spots, looking to make sure that there's no nails in pipes. Guys, that's a massive problem with new construction, is nails in pipes. And a lot of times you won't ever figure that out until after you've moved into the house and the nail that was in a water pipe that wasn't leaking rusts out, and all of a sudden you've got a leak on the second floor of your house and your first floor ceiling caves in on you. And those are real stories. So it's not a shock and awe thing. I'm just trying to make you aware. Nobody has been in that house to live. It hasn't gotten, if you know anything about the ships, the shakedown, the sea trial, it hasn't had that. So you've really got to have an inspector on top of that stuff during the process. And the third part of that inspection is usually done right before closing, just to make sure that everything works correctly. So if you're going to buy a new home, brand new construction, I would 100% spend the money to get an inspector out there for the pre-pour, the pre-drywall, and that final inspection. You'll have so much peace of mind. You can keep that documentation, because a lot of times they'll go in, they'll take pictures and video behind the walls so you know where studs are and pipes are and stuff like that. And you can take that packet then and pass it on if you ever sell that house to the next person. It's a huge thing. So that is the third one. Quality construction is not always there. You've really got to know what to look for. And if you don't know what to look for, make sure you have a team behind you. That team may include a realtor. It has to include an inspector. It absolutely has to include, guys. I'm huge on that. If you don't have a realtor where you live, I've got a huge network across the country. Reach out to me. I'm more than happy to connect you, people who understand that, and more importantly, with people that will have good inspection contacts where you're trying to buy a house. Okay, fourth thing now about new construction that you've got to keep an eye on, and that's unforeseen delays in construction. Now, if it's sitting there, if it's a spec house means it's a speculative house. The builder built it, finished it out. You don't have any input on the finish out or the colors or any of that stuff. That's a spec house. If it's sitting there, okay, you're not going to have any issues with delay of construction. But if that thing is either in construction or if you're going to start the construction, the builder's going to give you a timeline roughly, and they'll tell you it might be 7 to 9 months. Okay, don't bet on that. There's so much, and it's not necessarily that the builder's trying to lie to you. So much of it is it's just beyond their control, like weather. If you don't have the house dried in, meaning you don't have a roof and windows and doors on it, if it's raining, you can't work on that house. If they start the house in the winter and it's freezing temperatures, nobody's going to be out there working on that house. And in Texas, sometimes we've got a month where we may get 15 days of rain, and during that time, it's too wet for anybody to be out there. So construction delays are a thing. And I'm going to get to this point in a little while also, but in that builder contract, which by the way, you cannot alter, you will not make any changes to that builder contract. But in that contract, it specifically states, if they don't finish that house on a specific timeline, it is not on them. You have to figure out where you're going to live for an extended period of time. If you're in a hotel because you were planning on moving in at the end of December and that house doesn't get done until February, you're going to end up staying in that hotel a long time, or you're going to be in Airbnbs or something like that. So when it comes to new construction, if that house is being built or if you're building it, make sure you anticipate construction delays. Again, builder's not trying to screw you, but sometimes things are just out of their control. Okay, fifth thing we're dealing with here is new home builder contracts. I'm a realtor in the state of Texas. We being realtors, have promulgated forms written by attorneys that are used in hundreds of thousands of transactions every year. Okay, in those transactions, the buyer is protected because federal government and state governments want to protect the consumer. That's the whole point. They want to protect buyers from, sellers and listing agents that are out there looking to take advantage of them. But anyway, those contracts that I use on an everyday basis, those are written with the buyer in mind. When you go to a new home construction community and you're dealing directly with a builder, you will not be using any contract other than the builder's contracts. Those contracts are written by the builder, paying the builder's attorneys to write them. And the only person that they look out for is the builder and the builder shareholders. The builder is a for-profit company. At the end of the day, they're trying to make money. So in those contracts, they're going to protect themselves. You do not have the protections of a normal contract in a new construction home. It just doesn't happen. I mentioned it a while ago about delays. If that house takes an additional 4 months to build because the builder just doesn't get it done, you're the one that's got to deal with that. It's the same with every bit of that contract. And even if you're an attorney, and I know attorneys, I'm an attorney, I can do anything to a contract. Not in that one, because if you're in there trying to line item out stuff or cross out paragraphs or negotiate with them on that contract, they're going to say, you know what, we don't make any changes. And if you want to make changes, we suggest you go buy a resale home, and they'll take the contract and show you the door. So just be prepared when you go. Again, you need a team of people. Do you want a real estate attorney to review that contract? Do you want a realtor to review that contract? Make sure you have somebody that understands, but also on your side, remember, the builder's not protecting you. The builder is protecting themselves. Okay, moving along to number 6. Everybody expects real estate to continue to appreciate over time. And that's kind of what, you hear the sayings all the time. Real estate has made more millionaires than any other investment. And that's true. In fact, one of my favorite things to tell investors or young families is if you want a new construction home and you're okay with all of these issues, go find a new construction home in a community that's just opening up, because what the builder does is the builder, after they sell, every 4 houses, 5 houses, 6 houses, depending on the economy, they're going to increase their base prices, and they're going to continue to increase their base prices until they're out of the neighborhood. But how long are they going to take to be done with that neighborhood? There's some communities in Austin that are over 3,000 homes. How long is it going to take a group of builders to build out 3,000 homes? They're going to be there for a while. So if you're doing that investment, you've got to be okay staying in that neighborhood for the long term. Because remember back to my first point, your resale homes, no matter if it's only a year old, guys, your resale homes are always going to be priced below the new homes, and you've got to give the buyer an incentive to go buy that resale home, because if the incentive is it saves them $10,000, they're going to go buy the new house. $10,000 is not enough to sway a buyer to go buy a resale home. Again, I normally see 10 to 15%, on these homes, and that's high-priced homes. So you're going to have to be priced appropriately if you're going to have to get rid of that investment before a lot of years have gone by, so you can see that builder appreciation set in. All right, next, number 7, we're jumping into warranty limitations. Okay, one of the main reasons I always hear from people that want to buy a new home is, oh, they've got great warranties. They've got, sometimes it's a 3-phase warranty and stuff like that. And that's true. Understand though, the warranty is only as good as the builder and the builder's ability to come and get that warranty stuff knocked out. Case in point, they usually come out pretty quickly for things like water leaks and things like that. But let's say that you've got a cracked window pane or something like that, and it just doesn't sit very high up on the builder's priority list. You might be sitting there waiting for that thing to be fixed for a long time if it ever gets fixed. Sometimes the builder will put it off on the manufacturer, and the manufacturer is like, no, it's the builder issue, and they get into this argument, and it's going to take a year and a half to get somebody to even look at the problem. And again, these are from experience from buyers that I've had that are going through these issues. That's why I'm sharing this. The other thing that I'm starting to notice now about warranties in Texas, it used to be pretty normal. You would get what was called a 1-2-10 warranty. It was a 1 year kind of bumper to bumper, right? It would come in and fix drywall cracks and stuff like that after the first year. The 2-year warranty was a mechanical warranty, and that would cover, your HVAC and appliances and things like that for 2 years. And then the 10 years a structural warranty. Okay. Well, last year in Texas, the regulating bodies decided that, okay, builders, you don't have to do a 10-year structural warranty anymore. And I've noticed builders now going back to a 7-year structural warranty or even a 5-year warranty because it's cheaper for them to have a shorter warranty. They don't have to warranty it as long. Also, mechanical warranties. I've got a client under contract right now. Mechanical warranties used to be 2 years. The builder they're under contract with right now, it's a 1-year mechanical warranty. So not only do you have to fight to try to get warranty work done sometime, but builders right now, they're trying to save money. They're trying to reduce the cost of houses. And some of that is in what is being failed to be passed on to you that was considered, traditional in years past, like that 1-2-10 warranty. So yes, builder warranties are nice, but make sure you understand them and make sure you understand the shortcomings of them. The next one, number 8, is property taxes. This is a major thing in Texas. If your state isn't like this, good for you. But in Texas, we have property taxes that are reassessed every year. And so when you go to buy the house, let's say you close on it in August of a calendar year, right? The county is going to assess you 2 different values from January 1st until you close, and then another value from when you close in August through the end of the year. Okay, it's going to be an unfinished property, which is taxed far less than a complete property. Well, most lenders understand this, and they can approximate what that tax bill is going to be the following year. But you as the consumer are the one, and hopefully your realtor will help you out with this. You've got to understand on your own in case the builder doesn't make you aware of it. Let's say that, from January to August, your tax bill is $3,000, but then from August to the end of the year, it's $5,000. Okay, that's $8,000. But the complete renovated value of that house for the following year, or completed value of that house for the following year, is going to end up being $12,000 or $13,000. Okay, well, from $8,000 to $12,000 or $13,000, now we're looking at $400, $500, $600 potentially difference in your monthly payment. So when you're buying a new house, you've got to take that into account. Again, sometimes the lenders do, and they'll tell you, and they're really good about it. Sometimes they don't. You got to make sure you're aware ahead of time. Now, I'm going to take a little step sideways for a second and let you understand something about how builders work. Again, I mentioned earlier, they're trying to look out for the bottom line. That's what they're concerned about. They're trying to save money, okay? If you want representation, if you want a realtor to go with you and have your best interest in mind and look at new construction homes, make sure you do that before you start going shopping. And look, my wife and I did the same thing. We went out when we were first married, like we're just going to go out on a weekend and we're going to look around and check out some new houses because we wanted to buy a home. The builder's lender qualified us at a mortgage or for a mortgage amount that we could have taken, but it would have put us so far in a bind of being house poor, it wouldn't have even been funny. Had we had a realtor with us, we would have been told that, a realtor that you have a conversation with about what your budget is and where, what you want and how much you want to spend and all that other stuff. So the builder representative, they don't hold your best interest in mind. Who pays the builder's representatives? The builder does. So they have the builder's best interest in mind. They have the shareholder's best interest in mind. Now, I'm not going to say that the rep isn't amazing and they do a really good job of explaining everything and they're really super nice. That's very possible. And I see that a lot. I've got a lot of friends that are builder reps. But At the end of the day, they still are going to go to bat for the builder. They will always negotiate a better deal for the builder than what they're going to give you. If you have representation, if you've got an agent, you stand a better chance for a couple of reasons. One, if an agent is good in an area, they've had other houses in there that were sold before, they know what those houses are selling for. They're going to be able to negotiate a better price for you. The other thing is they can help you out ahead of time, telling you, hey, if you're going to go to the design center and you want to spend $50,000 in upgrades, that's a bad idea, because all the other houses in here, they're only doing $20,000 to $25,000 in upgrades. You may over improve. So again, having that person on your side is huge. And the builder reps, as great as a lot of them are, you're not their priority. Their boss is their priority. And with that in mind, we're going to get to the ninth one, and it is the financing risks. Okay. The way financing works with a builder, most of them, large builders, especially your national builders, they are going to have their own financing department. They're also going to have their own title department. So they want to keep everything in-house. That's how they make the most money. But you see builder incentives advertised. We'll give you $10,000 in flex cash, or we'll buy down your interest rate by 3% or whatever. Okay, that's great. But you cannot use your own lender. You have to use their lender. You have to. No discussion about it. The only time that changes is if, let's say that you're a non-QM loan, you're a non-qualifying loan, you make a lot of cash, you don't have a standard W-2 job or something like that. If the builder's lender can't qualify you in that case, then you can go to an outside lender that can qualify you, and the builder may pass those options and those specials on to you with an outside lender. But without that very special circumstance, if you want any of their specials, you're going to have to use the builder lender. Okay, in and of itself, that's not a bad thing. But what you have to watch for is hidden fees. You may end up paying larger origination fees. You may end up having like additional builder fees built in there, and it'll line item them out because they have to by federal law. But you have to really go over your settlement statement with a fine-tooth comb to find out, this is a normal fee, this is a BS fee. What I highly recommend is have a lender, like go get pre-qualified. Find you a lender, get pre-qualified before you ever house shop. Find you an agent before you ever house shop, and then go. But if you've got that lender beforehand, tell them, hey, look, I might be looking at new construction homes. The lender's going to be fine with that. But when you get to the point where you're going to buy a new construction home, get a settlement sheet or a sheet where they're projecting what your fees are going to be, and take that to the other lender and tell them, hey, would you put together a quote on what you would charge for this, and see. Sometimes the other lender may be way cheaper, and it makes sense not to take the builder incentives and move with the outside lender. But the outside lender, again, can look at it and tell you, hey, yes, this is a junk fee, this is a junk fee, you can negotiate this fee. And that's a part of this whole process. So make sure that you have, again, that team in your corner that's going to look out for your best interest long term. And the other part of number 9 here is that it goes back to what I was saying earlier about construction timelines. If your house is being built and you're qualified now, and they're telling you, okay, you're going to be done in 7 months. If something changes in your employment in 7 months, or buy a new car, something happens that changes your qualification status. Okay, you could lose that house, because if you qualified for it at the beginning of the process, but you don't qualify it, and they'll run underwriting again at the end of it, you don't qualify for it at the end of the process, you're not going to buy the house. And again, unless you can find a lender that will qualify you. And talk about something that's heartbreaking. I've had people that went under contract under an interest rate that was going to be around 3.5%. And by the time the house was finished being built, the interest rate was over 6%. This is in 2022. They were luckily able to make the decision to go ahead and buy that house. They still qualified for it, and they were okay with that payment. But can you imagine being in a situation where you've got okay, we're good. Yes, honey, our payment's going to be $3,000 a month. Our interest rate's going to be here. And by the time that house is done, now all of a sudden, your payment's going to be $4,500 a month. It's going to be $1,500 a month more. Financing can be really, really tricky when you're building a house. If we're in a stable rate environment, usually not a massive thing. But for the last 2 years, our mortgage rates have been doing this. It can get you into a lot of trouble having to wait for that home to be finished being built. So for that reason, again, maybe resale makes more sense. You know right away, if we've got a 30-day time period to close this loan, I can lock in my interest rate right now. I can lock my interest rate for maybe up to 45 days or 60 days. And I know that when we get to the end, even if interest rates go up 2%, I still get the one that I locked in at the beginning of the process. You're not going to be able to do that when you're building a new construction home. And I'm going to reiterate here for a second. It helps to have a team that you trust. I can't say that enough. And again, I'm a realtor, but your team may not require a realtor. You may be like, nope, I don't need a realtor. You may just need a lender and an inspector. Okay, that's fine. But find somebody that you trust. Don't just go onto Google and look at Angie's List or whatever and try to find somebody. Find people in that area who have those connections, who have used, like me, I've used my inspector for 12 years now. I trust that guy fully. If you don't have that relationship, find somebody that you can have that relationship with. It is really, really important, especially when you're looking at new construction homes. Like I said, new construction homes are not always what they're cracked up to be. A lot of times they can be a huge pain in the butt. So just make sure you protect yourself accordingly.